good, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Struggle. Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno here on a beautiful Thursday, Friday in New York City in Times Square. How you guys doing?
I feel amazing today.
Oh.
Phenomenal?
Phenomenal. I feel amazing, phenomenal, all of that.
All right.
I feel like that because today is my daughter's birthday.
All right. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Logan. Daddy loves you.
Oh, look at
feel
you,
good
man. I was thinking on some simple shit. I'm like, this nigga wearing green. He probably just got a check. He feel happy. Okay, that's what's up.
I'm happy today because today is my daughter's birthday.
How are you guys celebrating? Does she have to go to school today?
Yeah, she's going to school, but she's having like a little pizza party at school. She wants to make a bank account, so.
Oh, what?
Really?
Yeah, she's 7 years old. She wants to make a bank account.
Oh,
I mean, she
dope.
has one set for her, but she wants to have like one because she saves her own money. Like when people give her money, she saves it, so she.
That was her idea?
Smart kid.
Yeah, that's her idea. Yeah.
Do kids still do that thing in school? Like when we were in high school, they were bringing like 30 massive, those helium balloons, and you got to walk around with them?
I don't think so. Nah, we just gonna get a pizza. She just want a lot of stuff. She wants an iPhone. She wants all types of stuff.
Well, whatever. She's saving her money though, so I feel like she can make some demands.
They do that shit at the ghetto schools. He goes to like the private schools.
Oh yeah, sorry, I went to public school. I know it's different. It's different.
She goes to a charter school.
Hey, mine was a charter school.
Go to school with the Obamas, right?
There you go.
All right, well, I hope Logan has an amazing birthday. We'll get you out of here so you can start celebrating soon. So our first story today, so there's an upcoming Showtime documentary about Wu-Tang called Wu-Tang Clan of Mics and Men. So RZA recently spoke to Complex about the doc, and he touched on ODB signing to Roc-A-Fella and how the label did him wrong. He said for himself, even watching back the footage, it was, quote, very sad and morbid. He was like, it was very painful to watch. You have some joy and the pain that's happening. You get the joy of him and his energy, and then the documentary goes and shows the fat, dirty when Roc-A-Fella had him. So RZA and the director, Sasha Jenkins, admit that the doc wasn't super kind to Roc-A-Fella. They said, RZA said, quote, they never treated him the way he was supposed to be treated. Even a diamond, when it comes out of the ground, it's just a rock to be polished and then clean and cut right. When he came out of the system, they were just like, no, let's move him here. We hear about this stuff happening with artists and labels all the time, but Wayno is a former Roc employee.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about? I know Action's waiting for this. Do you know anything about his time there?
Absolutely. I was working there when he signed there. It caught everybody off guard. I think that this is one of the things that kind of led to Jay and Dame breaking up, because I didn't think Jay had or wanted anything to do with ODB or ODB being signed there. Not in a disrespectful manner, but we was all confused. So when ODB gets signed, this press release goes out. He gets a rock chain and all of that. When first time I met him, like growing up watching ODB, he was very live. He was very like charismatic and all of that. When he used to come to the office, I don't know, it was like he was a shell of himself. Like he was very quiet. He was like very heavy set. I think that he was, I don't know what he was dealing with personally, but he didn't really talk much. So I didn't really know what was going on there. As far as like business wise, I don't know how that went, but that shit caught everybody off guard. Nobody really dealt with him though. Like actually when I was working on the State Property Chain Gang album, we had a video shoot, and he showed up to the video shoot like 15 hours late, and nobody could. 15 hours late. Like we was on set at 9 a.m. He didn't show up to like 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m. that night, because it was two different videos that we were shooting, and we didn't even get a chance to really salvage his time. Like they just let him do one performance scene and they improvised. It didn't really work out, but. It was guys who were managing him. That's what is not spoken about, or I didn't see spoken about in this clip. It was some guy that was managing him that nobody really knew. Nobody really knew anything about him, and I know people at Roc-A-Fella really didn't respect him. So I don't know if that might have...
Him as an art, or his manager?
His manager,
Got it.
Yeah, his manager.
So was Dame around at that time? So there's no thought putting into it, but like, did you see them interact ever? Or?
Yeah, Dame. The thing I'll say about Dame, like Dame was like, he will always tell people he's not like the music guy. Like Dame is not the guy you give him music and he could tell you what to do with the music. He knows how to brand you and do all the cool shit. He did a lot of stuff that people are doing today. But as far as music, I think that was a Dame Dash decision. I don't even think that was Big's decision, really. I know that Big's like supported it once he did it. But as far as Jay, I never seen Jay, like every time I was around Jay, he never spoke about it. They never, like, ODB was just like, it wasn't really a thing.
That's unfortunate.
They couldn't get a album done with him. They could never really get an album done with him because he also had like different time constraints, because I believe he was on parole. So he had like certain time constraints. He couldn't be out, or he could record at certain times, but it was really confusing to me when I worked there.
So wait, just for some clarity, help me understand. Because it feels like Roc-A-Fella is getting some of the blame. And from everything you're saying, I don't see really how they're to be blamed. I mean, unless maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Well, they can be if so, like they're partners in a label and one person makes a decision to sign an artist and everyone's not on board. You're not going to get the full support of the label or the team. That puts the artist in a shitty position for sure.
Yeah, but also if the artist comes here and the artist isn't how you've seen that artist being portrayed the most of their career. Like, again, if it's both ways.
Well, I mean, also taking into account, like when this happened, I was really, I was a kid. I was like 19 when he signed there. So when he signed there, there was no excitement. Like
can we like go back a little bit, right? So like at that point in his career, like where was he? Like, do you feel like it was an immediate change as he got to the label, or prior to that was he still doing well, still energetic? Okay, so he was coming out of jail at the time.
Yeah, he came home.
So it could have been just a combination of everything.
I think it was a combination of everything, and the thing was, I don't think ODB should have ever been signed there because he just didn't fit what Roc-A-Fella was as a brand.
Right.
You know, like I felt like ODB was always strong enough to be his own entity. Like when you always see groups, they always say who's the ODB of the group, right? Like who's the wild one, the one that's doing all the crazy shit. Like people would say Gunplay is the ODB of MMG. You know what I'm saying? Like they always had like that phrase. He never really fit in to that fold, and at that time Dame was signing, I mean like he was signing all types of shit. And I don't know if, again, I wasn't part of the business overall. I was just an assistant A&R. I didn't have any workings in the overall business. I think that he made a decision like that, and people supported him because he's the boss, but ultimately nobody really looked forward to working on his project or actually understood why he was there for any reason.
So bad management, fresh out of jail, and doesn't have the full support of the label. Definitely sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say bad management. I just know that the dudes up there, like Roc-A-Fella was a label that everybody who worked there that was executive, they was all street dudes, right? So the dude who was his manager, he's a young white kid. And I know that every time he used to come up there, like they would say shit like, man, this motherfucker don't know what he doing, or like it would always be something. I just think it wasn't a good mesh, but he should have never for 1 second been signed to Roc-A-Fella. And I can say that as a person who, as a Roc-A-Fella fan, a person that worked there, and as an ODB fan, he should have never signed there. It made no sense. None at all.
I'm gonna go with Wayno.
Made no
Wayno's
sense.
giving some insight that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It made no sense.
Unfortunate. All right, so I guess we'll find out more when the full documentary drops, right? Because we only have a clip of it so far.
Right.
So we'll talk further later. But in better Wu-Tang news, Wu-Tang was immortalized in Staten Island over the weekend. They got a district named after them, which is super dope. The naming ceremony took place at the intersection. Please forgive me, I'm not from Staten Island. Tarji Street, if I'm saying this incorrectly, and Vanderbilt Avenue. So officially been renamed Wu-Tang Clan District. Let's take a look. Everyone came out in the rain to celebrate. That's really dope.
That's amazing. I mean, like, of course, that could have been done years ago, but I think it's perfect timing now. Like, I think it's perfect timing because they have the doc coming out. I know they're working on a show about all their lives. I think it's perfect timing, but in terms of Wu-Tang, when a young kid looks at longevity, like, you don't even have to look at their music. Just look at the careers and all the things they changed culturally. I think that you can learn a lot from them.
I'm surprised it's actually being done now. Like, I mean, I see a lot of other people in their respective communities, like getting either streets renamed or whatever after them. And I would imagine that Wu-Tang already had like, I mean, I don't know, what's the difference between like getting like, is it just a street or is it like a whole district? Or like, it's kind of like a few blocks. I don't know what it is.
Wouldn't the district be like the area as opposed to just one street?
Yeah, I have no idea. I would imagine so. But regardless, like, you could tell, I love when whatever city or ordinance basically just shows respect to anyone who creatively affected culture there. You get me? And I thought this was dope, you know?
Yeah, congrats to them. Better late than never, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very classy.
All right, so this story is about sort of the respect between artists and journalists / media personalities. All right, so earlier this week, the crew on Hot 97's Ebro in the Morning, they were sharing their thoughts on Joyner Lucas's new track, Devil's Work. So at some point, Rosenberg started talking about why him and Joyner fell out. Basically, last time Joyner was on the show, it sounds like, well, I'll just read the quote. So according to Rosenberg, Joyner said he wouldn't do interviews anymore because I disrespected him because I looked at my cell phone. I wanted to get the date that his record was released, so I opened up to the Wikipedia page. So Joyner commented this on Twitter saying, "Do me a favor, find the original footage of the interview and keep the cam on you the whole time. You were on the phone at least 10 times texting while I was talking, so yeah, I felt disrespected. Release the same interview, but keep the cam on you, etc., etc. I bet you won't." So he goes on to add, he said, "I basically woke up early to go to your station to give you a solid interview, and you just sat there texting a handful of times. How are you going to be mad at me? I felt disrespected because of the lack of respect." Curious your thoughts. I feel like sometimes the disrespect can go both ways, but what do you think about this specifically?
Well, me being someone who, like, I know when I first, like, started, at least being, again, I don't even know this industry, but just, like, I first started at Complex. And they'd be like, hey, so-and-so's coming through, so-and-so's coming through. I'm hyped up. I used to get kind of take it a little personal when people cancel on you and they go somewhere else. So there are feelings on both sides of the situation when journalists deal with artists. And you could also imagine when an interview happens, like, there's additional feelings that happen then. Again, I don't know, I didn't really see the original interview, but he's saying that, hey, release a whole interview where the camera only is on you. And I see some journalists, like, it depends on the mood. Like, we don't like, yo, where my phone at? Like, we might say something, people might not know. We have an earpiece, so, like, our producers might just relay some information that we don't know off the top of our head. But for some other, like, either stations or interview styles, they might have a computer in front of them. They might be able to, like, just look something up real quick.
Right.
Now, being on your phone, you could tell, like, yo, listen, just like a teacher could tell if a kid is, like, texting, you know somebody texting rather than Wikipedia. You get me? So, again, I don't want to just indict him just off what Joyner is saying, but it looks like Joyner has a strong feeling that he wasn't really giving him his full attention. And I do believe that, media now is people do, like, mass, like, interviews. So people interview people they don't really give a fuck with. And they'll do it just because we're going to say we did it. And of course, for that artist, it's special to them. So if I come in here and if you feel like y'all disrespected me, yeah, I'm going to feel some type of way about it. So I'm not going to really get at Joyner about his feelings about it because he seems he has a strong conviction about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Rosenberg, to me, he's not a bad guy. He's always been a cool guy with me. I thought that they had computers in front of them. It seems like they don't, when they're doing their interviews. But if I wanted to Wikipedia something, I would just tell them, like, yo, let's look this. Let me look this up real quick. Prior, and he's been doing this for years, so I'm not even going to disrespect his journalism and say, like, oh, he should have known or some shit like that. But I mean, there's definitely prep time for a situation like that. If he's trying to look up when your single dropped, then I think he should have definitely alerted him. But I'm the last one on the journalist train. So for me, like, whenever we're prepping, I just take and I write it on my cards, I write it on a piece of paper just so I have reference points. But I can understand where Joyner's confused at or where he's upset. Because if you're talking to somebody and they did this like 10 times, their mind is not in the game. Their mind is not in the game. But
yeah, so it's like okay to feel a way about it, right? I guess
Absolutely.
Then it sucks then you just don't want to drag it on publicly. Like I've had situations. I did an interview yesterday. We're almost done, and the artist answered a phone call during the interview, and like I was just like, whatever. We're almost done anyway. I can make a joke, laugh it off. Don't take it personally. But unfortunately, I think it happens on both sides, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just like trying to not take it personally and like move on from the situation. But yeah, if you don't, after that, you don't want to do an interview with the person again, or I don't want to interview that artist again, I guess no one should have hard feelings either way. It is what it is.
You know what? I also look at it, and this is how I take these type of things, because, like the public sees the presentation. So if someone comes to Everyday Struggle, they see the presentation, right? They don't really, I mean, maybe they care about it, but they don't see like the interaction maybe like in the hallway, when you just got to the building, like the energy before. So I usually say, like, you don't bring that to the public unless it's warranted. You get me? So, like, I was looking at those tweets and I'm like, it would appear the way how Joyner was even responding kind of feel like heavy-handed, but like homie actually brought it to the public first. You get me? Like niggas would have never known that.
Right.
Like you could have not said that. If it didn't happen anymore, it didn't happen anymore. But now when you say something like that, you're now forcing him to respond, and he's gonna respond in his own Joyner way. You get me? So, hey, unfortunately, that's just the business you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joyner hot right now too, so you gotta add that. You know, he hot right there.
But Joyner got a lot of smoke for someone else that's Caucasian, Tommy Lauren.
Yeah.
You might have just thought that, listen, man, any I can get.
Oh, yeah. But again, as always, stuff like this is going to happen, but like you hope this is something that Joyner and Peter Rosenberg can just like talk out, squash it off the internet.
Y'all even got to, in reality, I'm going to get on my Wayno shit. Niggas don't got to be friends.
No, it's cool. It just sucks when it gets to the point that, people are publicly like, we don't need you guys for this or that, because at some point you do need each other. You know what I mean? I just always hate when it gets to this point. But anyway, good points, gentlemen. Onto some silly stuff. All right, so man, this Gucci ban, I don't know. I don't know if T.I. is still out here advocating for this. So Snoop Dogg noticed a lot of celebrities on the Met Gala red carpet wearing Gucci, so he hopped on Instagram to find out if this ban is still a thing.
I seen some Gucci the other day, so is the ban off or not? Y'all gotta let me know, because I got a bunch of that I ain't gave away yet. If I wear it, y'all gonna talk. Something else with these bands, cuz. Let me know when the band is officially off.
So we also had a fan question about this too, saying, now that the Gucci controversy has died down, is Gucci still canceled in hip hop? Haven't seen much rappers saying anything.
Gucci was never banned. No, seriously, I feel like it never was really banned. For me personally, I don't care because I don't wear it, right? But I feel like niggas was victims of the moment, man. No, for real. A lot of people was like, oh, Gucci did some foul shit. We not fucking with them. What has really happened? Was there any clarity? Okay, Dapper Dan spoke to them. Did we get any words back?
Oh yeah, we never heard what the resolutions were.
We never heard what no resolutions was. Like, we never got any clarity on it. So for me, I just felt like, man, listen, they gonna do what they want to do. People still been wearing Gucci the whole entire time. It is what it is.
Young Thug was wearing the same offensive mask.
He wore the same, he wore the same hoodie. I mean, the shirt, whatever.
Yeah, come on now. Like, y'all knew that wasn't gonna last. But you know what it is? It shows that people, even if they didn't do it, because a lot of people were like, yo, we ain't fucking with Gucci. A lot of niggas didn't even have Gucci. You get me? Like, who said it? Shit, I think I was hearing an interview by Casanova. He said, I got all this damn Gucci and I was gonna do it in my video anyway. What y'all want me to do?
Right.
So again, I think we're just not a monolith, and also we're not that together on shit, even though a lot of people in hip hop, we're minorities and we're very sensitive to like social things like that. Listen, man, niggas gonna rock their Gucci, man.
The couple clothes, oh man.
We better hope there's never like a Chanel ban. Gunna's not getting rid of that purse. He's definitely not getting rid of that purse.
But look, like, did you see the thing with like Virgil and everybody was mad because it was like a holiday party and he shared a video from the holiday party. It was all white people that were like, did people really believe that it was all black people running off-white? Like, no, seriously, because this is the problem I have. All right, see, Virgil is the face of it, so you can point the finger at Virgil.
Right.
There's no face to Gucci, so nobody's not pointing a finger at them, right? But Off-White didn't even do nothing wrong. They just like, yo, that's crazy. You selling all these $800 hoodies, and ain't no black people working in there, and guess what? Y'all still gonna buy that shit.
Niggas was like, surprised when Jay-Z at the B-Sides concert was like on some shit like, yo, Tyler's a black business. He took a picture of the headquarters. I think it was him and Beyonce and a janitor, the only niggas up in that shit.
No, it's black people at Tidal. That's not true.
Like,
I know a few black people that work at Tidal. That's
Elliot
not
Wilson
true.
and all them out there.
Janitor stuck in the picture, bro. If you look at everybody else, they look crazy.
No, but the crazy thing about it is that people from your phone it's so easy to form an opinion, right? From your phone it's so easy to form an opinion. When you see all this off-white shit, the thing with the off-white thing, and even with Gucci, when it is black businesses, people be off of them. So let's not sit here and act like, oh, if we would have seen all black people running off-white, it would have made you happy, because it's all black people running all types of other clothing lines and y'all don't fuck with them at all. Or it'd be like, man, niggas ain't wearing that shit. That shit it only costs this much. People identify the value and the price point. That's why they wear it.
And even worse, like, they look at it, it's the brands that don't fuck with you, that's the brands that seem more exclusive, man. You get me? Like, shit, I'm looking at Fashion Nova. They had a whole goddamn, I was telling Wayno, like summer jam party to make the people who help promote their brand feel appreciated. They try to like, yo, hey, listen, we're trying to embed ourselves in the culture. And then, you know, they gave Cardi B her own line, and you'll still see some people try to knock it, you get me? But to be honest, like, at least you rather a brand like that has some type of cultural sensitivity, rather than these other brands that don't give two fucks, man.
Act sounds like he has a Fashion Nova deal.
It's definitely.
The Act doesn't pick
Isn't
up
it amazing
shit.
that of this whole cast, Act would be the one to get a fashion deal?
Did you hear that just now? Did you hear that?
I love Fashion Nova. I just want to point that out.
He basically said Fashion Nova's for the people. And
Fashion Nova for the
Yo, listen, Act.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now. If y'all niggas start a Fashion Nova deal, I'm coming out in
A band?
No. If y'all start a Fashion Nova band, I'm coming in here with full Fashion Nova drip. That's facts.
He has a deal and doesn't wear the drip anyway, so whatever. Act.
Akademiks.
Well, listen, they pay me not to wear it. They say, "You listen, man, we don't want to catch you in this shit now. Don't let us catch you in this bullshit."
Nah, you stupid.
Akademiks is a style icon, y'all. Shit's changing. It's different up here.
I can't afford Gucci.
He's something.
No
I don't know what he is. He's something.
By the way, use my code Akademiks. For real.
All right, you done?
I'm done.
Okay. All right, y'all. So this week in hip hop marks the 20-year anniversary of Snoop Dogg's fourth album, No Limit Top Dogg. So he dropped this album on May 11th, 1999. It was under No Limit Records and Priority Records. It was his second album under the label, debuted at number 2, sold about 187,000 copies in its first week. This album was certified platinum, but ultimately did end up being his lowest selling album of the 90s. Some other milestones. This was the first time that him and Dre worked together on a project since Dre left Death Row. It was about 21 songs on this. A lot of guest features: C Murder, Exhibit, Nate Dogg, Silk the Shocker, and more. And Dre and Master P, I think, co-executive produced this project.
Yeah.
One of the lead singles off the album was G Bedtime Stories. Bitch Please was another single. Does this album stand out to you guys in history?
Well, the album doesn't stand out to me in history, but certain records do. Like this is not a classic album, but he definitely has classic records over here. Like Down for My Niggas is a classic. I mean, as soon as somebody puts it on, I don't give a fuck where you at. Even young kids to today, like all of the kids that fuck with the Lows and all of that, you play that song, it goes up. I think on the first album that he did with No Limit, it was type of a rebellion. It was a type of a rebellion off the whole Death Row shit, him getting out that situation. I know him and Dre, they had like strained their relationship a little bit. And then this coming back around like this, Bitch Please, it's definitely a moment in time with those records, but the album, I'm not gonna say I remember the entire album, but he does have moments.
Some big songs on it.
Some big songs off of here that's remembered forever.
So he signed to No Limit in 1998. Was this time at No Limit memorable for you guys in general? Or was it a weird point in his career?
I always forget that he was signed to No Limit. And then when you actually think about like his plight, you remember he of course signed it. But I mean, honestly, when I think about Snoop's career, I don't even associate him with like No Limit.
Really? I associate, well, the thing with Snoop is kind of like Vince Carter to me. Like he has different eras in his career. So he has, of course, the beginning is No Limit. And I mean, not No Limit, Death Row, and then it's No Limit, and then a little bit after that, he goes to Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? And after that, he does like his own thing. But this, it wasn't a big, it was a big thing because at this time, Master P was fucking untouchable.
Yeah.
He was dropping, everything he was dropping was going gold or platinum. He was dropping albums every week from all of his artists, right? So him signing with No Limit was a big deal, but the music initially didn't hit. Like, it wasn't traditional Snoop Dogg or what we was used to. I think that he kind of got back to it on this album, and then the last meal was like, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, I do remember this time, but it's not my greatest thoughts of Snoop Dogg.
Right.
You know?
Doesn't stand out to everyone.
Dropped 3 albums on there?
Yeah, how you dropped 3 albums? And the last meal, the single off of that one was the one with Timbaland after that. Snoop Dogg, remember that shit?
You see, I remember the records, I just don't, like it doesn't hit me like, yo, those were dropped through No Limit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it wasn't a big, I think at that time, Snoop Dogg
Like,
was such a
clearly
big.
Down for My Niggas, like,
Yeah.
you know that.
But I think Snoop Dogg is such a big entity that you don't like.
He's just so West Coast to me. You know what I mean? Like the No Limit thing, like he said, doesn't like stick out in memories.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stick out in memories, but I mean, just when you look at times, you could, for me, his music kind of dipped. And when it dipped when it went to, because the first album I think was The Game Was to Be Sold and Not Told. And that, like, the first cover was like a No Limit cover. It's like all the the bling, all that shit that they had on the covers and everything that they used to do. So it kind of threw you off for who Snoop Dogg was. But I mean, eventually he rose out of this. But he had some good records his time at No Limit.
You're right. He's had so many phases.
Yeah, he had a lot of phases. Snoop Lion. I mean, did he do a gospel album? I know he was supposed to be doing something like that.
Oh man.
What's your favorite phase, man? Snoop Lion?
Nah, my favorite is Death Row Snoop. Death Row Snoop, and then I say Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like definitely when he got with Pharrell. Star Trek Snoop.
That was a great era. Yeah, Snoop Lion is something that should have never been. If we're just being honest, right?
Hey.
He tried.
Snoop was one of the first people with a reality show. Remember that? Like Snoop had a reality show with his whole family.
Oh yeah.
And that's before, and this was like the early 2000s. This was like around shit. That was like 03. Like he was one of the first people that had like a family reality show.
He's done a lot. Now he has his Martha Stewart show and everything, right? Yeah, the evolution is pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
hell
still
yeah.
on currently, but it's recent.
You know, I ain't gonna front, we need a Snoop Dogg appreciation day.
We could
for
do
real.
that.
Like we need a Snoop Dogg appreciation day because when you look at his whole entire career, there's somebody else on a case for murder. You know what I'm saying? He does fucking a show with Martha Stewart now.
Yeah.
He's done movies, film. Like I think
She like a felon too.
she is, but I think like when it comes to Snoop, he's not as respected for his business moves. He's made a lot of tremendous business
Surely
moves.
has,
like,
yeah.
and he's over 20 years doing this. Definitely need some Snoop Dogg appreciation.
Yeah, we could definitely do a whole Snoop episode.
Shit, he don't even have like a daily podcast, the GGN.
The GGN Network?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's not a podcast, though. It's still a show. I think.
It kind of feels, you know, like.
I mean, it does feel like a podcast.
Yeah.
But
You know what I mean?
because remember when he first rolled it out, it was before podcast was really a thing.
Yeah.
It was just on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
when
it was just on YouTube. It was like, wasn't it exclusively on Worldstar at one point in time? Like,
I remember he did have some hilarious episodes.
Absolutely.
All right, shout out to Snoop. I guess you can rock your Gucci again. No one's gonna be mad at you except maybe T.I., but it's fine. I guess
T.I.
it's
running
fine.
the fuck down.
I only got one Gucci thing, so now I can rock it in peace.
Those terrible shoes that you have?
Those shit was fire.
Yeah, okay.
And listen, that was from my little act video shoot. I was trying to return it, but apparently there was dirt on the bottom, so I couldn't.
You're one of those people?
Yeah, I return everything. You don't return clothes from like your artist shoots?
Nah, I get from my artist shoes.
Yeah, like if they shoot a video and I bought a bunch of shit, or maybe they already have it. I ain't got that shit already. You know what I mean? I had to flex. You feel me?
Yeah, well,
But
I mean,
I kept the receipts. I'm returning that bitch.
I don't return shit. I give shit away. Like I always buy clothes.
He's always making you look crazy. He's like, yeah.
It's not
Hell,
rich nigga shit.
them shoes cost $800. Listen,
I give
man.
shit away. I don't give away like
I get free
I don't give away
sneakers from
sneakers.
JLP over here. I'm not paying no $800 Gucci sneakers.
I don't wear Gucci sneakers, but I like the stuff Gucci stuff. In my life, I've only had like 3 Gucci. I had 2 pairs of sneakers and a watch. Like I've given away the sneakers. And
You had a
shit.
Gucci watch?
Yeah. Remember I told you I bought the watch off some crackheads.
Oh, okay.
The
All
way I
right,
make
in
it
that
look
case.
cheap, yo. My girl at the time put black tape on the bottom that dirt didn't get on it.
No, but that's what
Wow.
stylists usually do that. They
Oh,
put
for
stylists put the black tape on the
Look at
bottom.
his face. You thought
because
that was
when
Okay,
they,
now I thought we were just cheap and ghetto.
Nah, it's cheap and ghetto. Nah, because when they pull an item, they gotta bring it back usually. So like usually they let an artist rock the sneaker to do photo shoots or something. So you do it, they take the tape off, bring it right back.
You guys can't say you've never learned anything watching this show, right? There you
Hey.
go. Thank you, Wayno. All right, so today's Heat Check artist is Reason. So he's signed to TDE, of course. 28 years old. He's from Carson, California. His most recent project is There You Have It. We got that last year. He's also dropped the Free album and The Proof. Some notable records include Better Days, Colored Dreams, Summer Up, and he's influenced by Lil Wayne. He says Cassidy, Luda, J. Cole, and more. So he released his first mixtape In the Meantime back in 2015. After he released a couple more projects, he also appeared on the Black Panther soundtrack on the song called Seasons, a great song. And I believe it was like last summer, Top Dogg announced that he was officially signed to the label. He's also been on tour with J-Rock for the big Redemption tour. He was on the BET Hip Hop Awards Cypher, making some waves out here. And he's also a former college basketball player. Talented dude.
When it comes to Reason, I was a little bit late to the whole Reason bandwagon, which I will say I'm on. I'm definitely on the Reason bandwagon, but I like him. He's definitely one of my favorite rappers. Reason why he's one of my favorite rappers is because I love like rappers that come from LA, but you could tell that they had influence from other places and how they rap. So like how Game, like how Ak always says how Game was his favorite rapper. I like Game a lot too because Game was from Compton, but he sound like
From the East Coast.
He's from the East Coast. Like Reason, I wouldn't necessarily say he sounds like he's from the East Coast, but he has the skill palette. Like he definitely has the skill palette, and mixed with who he is and where he's from is what makes me like him a lot. I think that he's gonna go very far. Like, I really do believe that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with just that. I mean, if you look at even his influences, he's influenced by a bunch of like East Coast rappers, punchline driven shit. You get me? And I don't know, like I always, every time when a West Coast rapper spits, that accent just makes that shit sound more fire. You feel me? At least the accent to us. They probably don't realize it's an accent. But I mean, yeah, I caught up on him, just like kind of just checking his music. I've heard you mention him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And
you
then,
see when we dropped your name on the BET cypher?
Yeah. And then I checked out, what's the name of the joint? It's the There You Have It.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one when he got announced that he was on TDE, pretty much that came out. And I checked that one out and I realized, like, yo, he's pretty talented. So hearing his name keep popping up and seeing the projects come out, I'm realizing that this dude's like pretty hot. So, I mean, I'm gonna keep checking him out.
Yeah, Better Days is my favorite record from Reason. Like, that's my favorite record from Reason. I feel like he makes music that could really, like, touch you. You know what I mean? Like, he makes shit that could really touch you. And I'm curious to see how his next project comes out because, of course, we got Schoolboy Q. I'm dying for a Kendrick album.
We know. Yeah, I'm sure it's coming, Wayno.
But I do hope that when he does drop, that he has a nice focus on him because I feel like he's one of them ones. Absolutely.
All right.
He's definitely one of them ones.
So keep an eye out for Reason. Go check out his music. Support him. We'll be paying attention.
In the world, everybody's saying that shit is trash all the time. Got Reason.
There we go.
Right.
There we go. All right, so this next story is definitely not hip-hop news, just, important news that you really should be aware of. So in 2015, a 28-year-old woman named Sandra Bland was taken into police custody in Texas after a confrontational traffic stop. Basically, a state trooper pulled her over because she failed to signal a lane change. A few days later, they found her hanging in her jail cell, and at the time, they ruled it suicide. Now, when this investigation was public, only dash cam footage from the trooper was released, and he claimed at the time that he feared for his safety as he approached the car. Now, there's newly released cell phone footage which Sandra Bland herself recorded, and you can actually see the trooper drawing his stun gun, yelling at her, I'm gonna light you up, and clearly she's holding a cell phone. He's like yelling at her, telling her to put down the phone. So a lawyer for the family is now saying that this video undercuts his claim that he could have feared for his life because he was obviously a cell phone he was holding. Like, you could go check out the video online. It's pretty disturbing. So this footage surfaced according to New York Times. In a report on a Dallas TV station, WFAA. And so there are interviews with her family and other supporters who are basically claiming that, like, they concealed this information, like it should have been released at the time that the dash cam footage was released, and they're asking them to open the investigation again. It's just pretty crazy. Feared for his safety.
Yeah.
She was holding a cell phone.
I ain't gonna lie. See, this is where I gotta put my conspiracy hat on for this situation because I just, They talked about Sandra Bland, after she passed, and it's like, all right, a 28-year-old woman, I believe, I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but I remember I heard something about her just getting a job.
Yeah, I think she was from like Chicago, or she was like just moving there to take a new job.
She's just moving there to take a new job. She, gets pulled over for a traffic stop, is gonna spend tops a weekend in jail, and she hangs herself. Like, it just rubs me a very, very wrong way, and I haven't actually seen the footage. I really don't like to watch footage of people's last moments because we don't see her after that.
Right.
But this shit is crazy.
Yeah, it's just like it was an outright lie. You know what I mean? She wasn't concealing any sort of weapon because she starts filming as soon as he approaches.
Right.
He starts yelling at her to get out of the car, and she's still filming, like, why are you being so aggressive just because I didn't signal? This is like a little ridiculous. And he's like, all right, turn it off, put the phone down. She's like, this is my property, I'm allowed to record. So at which point was he threatened by this woman?
Yeah, well, it always looked like the cop was a little bit either super cautious, but not even that. It looked like he was super aggressive with her. This video was just further proof. I'm just still trying to figure out what the fuck happened in jail.
Right.
You get me? Like that, I need additional footage of that. Again, not of course of her death, but like the situations around it, how she was really treated once she got brought in. Because it doesn't make sense that someone who seemed pretty upbeat and someone who was involved in many different active issues or things in their lifestyle days prior gets locked up because of an argument with the cop over like a traffic stop, and now this person wants to take their life. You get me?
Right.
Again, I think that's the most puzzling thing that even, I could tell with her mom, there's still that discomfort of not really knowing what happened.
Yes,
Right.
And until that is a little bit more clear, like these videos just kind of show that there's probably something else that we just don't know about. And shit, I don't know if we haven't gotten that so far, I don't know if we ever will though.
This happened in Texas, right? This happened in Texas. So this was what kind of bugs me out as well, and I'll just say this in closing. What kind of bugs me out about this whole situation is, cop says he fears she could be concealed. Texas is like an open carry state. There's guns everywhere you turn your head. So I'm just thinking, I don't know, I'm not no law enforcement, never been, but I'm just thinking like, guns wouldn't be a thing that you're not used to seeing in Texas. People go to Denny's or whatever the fuck they go to eat with their guns on them open at all time. So all she had was a cell phone and you fear for your life. It doesn't rub me the right way, ultimately.
It's cool.
No.
I don't know. We'll stay tuned on what's happened, but it's like, yeah, cops just get to lie and get away with it all the time, man.
Right.
All right, so in today's edition of Rappers Doing Great Things in Their Community, so parts of the Houston area got badly flooded this week after a big storm. So Trey The Truth, used his relief gang organization to go out and help people, like searching for people in need of rescue, which is really amazing. He confirmed to ABC 13 that he was like working to get people out of dangerous location. He also told the news station that he was even like working to rescue several middle school students who were stranded. He said there are like hundreds of students still out there, so he was trying to like get them, make sure everyone got home safely and everything like that. So just big shout out to Trey The Truth.
Yeah,
it's really dope.
Trey's definitely a real one, man. He definitely does a lot for the people. He cares about his city. It's good to see stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always hear him doing good things for his community. It's crazy that at one point, which I don't think that's still the case anymore, like the radio had stopped playing his music for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And to see how much and how ingrained he is in that community, like that seems kind of crazy. Just that people wouldn't support his music while he's doing so much for the community.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had like little controversy things. I think that people just probably were scared of him, and they never took time to talk to him. I mean, if you ever met Trey, he's a very cool dude. So I think if people took time to, like, perception can't just always be reality, right? If they took time to get to know Trey as a person, and him doing stuff like this is not new. Pretty sure he's been doing shit like that.
Yeah.
The good thing about social media is that he gets to show it to spread awareness so somebody else could possibly want to do that as well. I mean, we don't have natural disasters here, but if we did have to start a relief gang organization here, I would totally be down with helping people. So it's good that he's able to show this side of himself.
Yeah, props to him. And of course, when we lost Nipsey, we talked a lot about the work he was doing in his neighborhoods as well. And now it's nice to see that people are really continuing that work. So in an interview with the LA Times, Nipsey's business partner, David Gross, he said he was working with Nipsey on the Our Opportunity Community Investment Fund. He basically revealed that they were trying to create the economic version of Black Lives Matter. He said they were trying to meet with important figures in Black neighborhoods around the country and get them on board with rolling out this investment fund. So in David Gross's words, he said they wanted to, quote, in a systematic way, acquire and develop transformative projects with these important figures. Nipsey and the group were also trying to add 80 apartment units to the strip mall that housed a Marathon clothing shop in Los Angeles. And later this month, Gross and other investors are going to formally unveil the Our Community Fund. So that's good. His work lives on.
Yeah, I think people just got to pick up where Nipsey left off in their own way. You know what I mean? In their own way. And by that, I mean like running your own marathon. The stuff that he was doing, like now that he's passed away, it's all of this shit that he was doing that's making people respect him, And he didn't feel the right to, we working, you know what I mean? Like every 5 minutes, guess what, big announcements coming. He had all these amazing things. He invested in a casino amongst all this stuff that he was doing in the neighborhood. It's all types of sides to him. So I think you just got to run your own marathon there,
Yeah, I mean, of course, just him really having that presence in his community and really making his community the forefront of the things he was focused on. Like that's probably the thing he's remembered for the most. But to me, one of the most impressive things is just on a economy type of wave, like you could tell like this was a dude that whatever perception of him, like whether it was like, oh, just dude, he was a gangbanger or not was a gangbanger, but like, he's in a gang, you feel me? That isn't really the thing that makes you realize that he could be heading up like a venture capitalist firm.
Right.
Like, those are the type of things that make me say, damn, this dude's ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Because when you start thinking like that and start thinking big business and you're thinking investing like that, I don't know, like that's how you really create change. Which a lot of times, a lot of people talk to talk, but really to start putting your money where your mouth is and actually start doing because a lot of people, they'll criticize either white people or they'll just like complain about gentrification, but they're never willing to like put their money where their mouth is to really either keep communities together or further things or just to like create those that structure that could help out minorities. And clearly he was definitely down with that if they were looking for something that could help other minorities at least economically progress. So
yeah, I think it's all about acquiring the information, and it seemed like he was really acquiring the information in order to make these things happen. Because a lot of times people want to do stuff, but they don't even know where to start. And the start comes with just getting the knowledge, right? Just finding out what you can possibly do and working towards it. So
yeah,
he was showing the example.
Yeah,
Peace to Nipsey.
All right,
No.
I feel like we should end on that positive note, right? As we go into the weekend. Gentlemen, do you have any final thoughts?
Stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous. Act before I start talking in you.
Yo, I got a collective 6 hours of sleep this whole week.
All right.
I can't wait till today's over.
Well,
Monday will be good.
you made it, my friend.
You
Congratulations.
gonna be back? You gonna be all right?
Monday gonna be straight.
All right, cool.
Monday
cool,
gonna be
cool.
straight. This is a tough week.
I can deal with that.
What was this first week we're back?
Nah,
I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a little bit tripping.
Should I already tell them now? Yo, so Memorial Day is coming up, Memorial Day week, something like that. We're going to be off for like the few days following, but we'll remind you guys next week so you don't get mad at us. Anyway, hope you have an amazing weekend, a nice end to your week, and we'll see you here Monday on Everyday Struggle.
Peace, y'all.